Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Million Pound Mission Podcast. It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and this is episode number 260, the Creative Keto Cook, with my buddy Cory Conklin. And this is going to be a great episode. I'm super fired up to introduce you to Cory. Before we dive into that, I want to remind you I've got a couple of Million Pound Mission transformed live workshops coming to your neck of the woods, possibly, or you can travel to my neck of the woods. So let's see, in September 21st here in 2019, I'm going to be in Huntington Beach, California. I've got JJ Flazanes, Rob Dion, and Allison Melody all joining me for that half-day workshop. You can go to millionpoundmission.com, get all the details, and get your ticket to come out to Huntington Beach. And also now, it's official, on October 19th, 2019, I'll have a full-day extravaganza at the world headquarters of Million Pound Mission here in Bloomington, Indiana. Still confirming all of the amazing speakers. I'm going to kind of leak those out week by week. We've got a great lineup. I'm going to walk you through my transformation timeline, the process that I'm going to help you reclaim a little bit of control and clarity over your transformation process. These workshops are going to be game changers. Head on over to millionpoundmission.com, get your ticket before we get sold out. Now, have you guys ever had some awesome weight loss momentum going, and then all of a sudden, boredom hits, right? Nutritional boredom will crush many transformations. And I've seen it take out a lot of really good people on their transformation journey. And with today's episode, we're going to show you how to add some creativity to your meal plan. Now, Cory Conklin is an avid cook, a food smoker, and a griller who lives a ketogenic lifestyle. And in late 2017, Cory realized that it was difficult to find a reliable source of sugar-free and additive-free rubs, spices, and seasonings to help people lose weight. So he founded Select Savory Seasonings. Now, in this episode, we're not just talking about spices. We dive into that, but we talk about how Cory's own transformation journey led to him starting this business, which I believe is important. I love supporting companies that have that story and that big why, that health behind their message. I love that about Cory and Select Savory Seasonings. We talk about his go-to spice blends for various cooking situations. I feel like a lot of you will really enjoy that, where I toss out there like, all right, if I'm cooking chicken thighs or if I'm throwing a ribeye on the grill, what spice blend do you recommend? And he gave some great answers with that. We talk about some tips for people that are getting bored with eating healthy, how we can just alter our cooking methods or spice things up, so to speak, to make things a little more interesting. And then we talk about his tips for keeping kids interested in healthy food. That's a challenge in and of itself. So he gives us some great tips in that area. You're going to love this episode. Cory is a genuine, awesome dude. All right. And I think that you'll get a lot of takeaways out of this. You'll have some things that you can implement and get better results right away. And that's what this show is all about. So let's dive in to episode number 260, the Creative Keto Cook, Cory Conklin. All right, Cory, welcome to the Million Pound Mission Podcast. How are we doing today, my friend?
I am wonderful as always. How about yourself?
I'm feeling spicy today for some reason. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. I think you are somebody that I got connected to a few months back. Mm-hmm. I had the pleasure of trying out some of your product. I am blown away by it. You've got an amazing story to talk about as well. And I always love companies and brands that have that big why behind what they're doing, and you definitely represent that. So let's dive in, man. Let's talk a little bit about how your own health transformation story has led you into the keto space as the creative keto cook.
Sure. For most of my life, I've been overweight. I was the bigger kid in school. Nothing compared to kids today, sadly, looking at the kids today, but I was always the bigger kid in class. And it didn't bother me. My attitude has always been I'm comfortable with who I am. I never really had that attitude like a lot of people do. I was not self-conscious. I still did things, but I always knew I needed to lose weight. And I'm an oddball in several ways, but I'm not one who tried everything under the sun. I think once, maybe twice, I tried low-fat in my very early 20s, and it was thrown in the trash can within a week. Tasted horrible. It's like, I'm not doing this. And in the process, I put on, I got up to 230, 240. And decided I need to lose weight, but that was my only why. I had no other why. Lost weight. I got myself eventually back down around 200, put it back on again. Fast forward to about 2010, get married, and I was 2.5 at the time. And after about a year, I got up to close to 280 pounds. And, a friend of mine challenged me, and it's like, okay, I need to, again, lose weight. That was the only why. And I dropped it. I got from in a year and a half or two down to 190 pounds. Was looking great. I could almost fit into a medium-sized shirt. It was a little more snug than I cared for. But it was just, I need to lose weight. I had no why. And then a holiday turned into a hollow week, turned into, I got back up to around 240. But I used a low-carb approach for most of that. I understood that worked best for me. The old Atkins plan was what I generally followed. And then just off and on, I would, not the occasional cheat meal. It was every other week, every weekend. And so I'd lose 20 pounds. I'd put it back on. I'd up and down. And I even got to the point my wife one day is like, look, you need to do something. You need to do what you're supposed to do. And I didn't need to hear it at the time. And I bluntly told her, hey, leave me alone. You can't push me. I have to come to this because if you keep pestering me, this may not end well. She didn't appreciate it, but she stopped. Fast forward to November of 17. She just came up to me one day and very lightheartedly said, hey, who can lose 10 pounds the fastest? I'm like, I win. I have 10 pounds. You don't. She's 130, 40 pounds soaking wet. And I'm like, okay. And that's where it started. And I started and I had already been listening to lots of podcasts along the way, such as yours, Robert Sykes' podcast, and several others. And I'm like, okay, I need more to this than just I'm losing weight. Read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why.
Yeah.
And really, from business and personal, a very transforming book, and I highly recommend it. And started going, well, why do I need to lose weight? And started adding that into the process. Well, I need to be here for my kids. Short term, I want the energy to play with my kids. I want to go places. I want to do things. Personally, I don't want my knees to hurt anymore. I don't want my back to hurt anymore with all the inflammation from the garbage in my food. And that's what it started with. And now since then, it's changed dramatically. Now I'm to the point my what is not losing weight. Yes, I want to, but my what is now staying healthy. And as I tell most people, I want to be Mark Sisson. I want to be in my 60s and 70s embarrassing 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not there yet. I'm still in my 40s and working towards that. But that's not my goal, is not weight loss, but health and longevity, and focusing on the long-term goal, not just the short-term goal.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head there, Cory. Guys especially really struggle with that driving force being that weight loss number. And then when they hit that number, their driving force goes away and they fade back. They're all that spirit of the game. They're competitive and those juices are flowing. But then we achieve that goal, we check it off, and we go, okay, next thing that I'm going to think about, and then we lose all those good habits. So adjusting so that your why was different. It was more long term. It was more about the relationships, the quality of life, the health aspect. Health doesn't go away. We can drive towards health for a lifetime. So I love that transition that you made. And let's talk about the transition of being from somebody on a weight loss journey to now an influencer in the space with your business and helping people with their nutrition via making things taste so much better, which I've been enjoying lately myself.
Yep. And ironically, I started my keto lifestyle. It was no longer my diet Thanksgiving Day of 2017. And of course, people are like, what? Thanksgiving? How can you come to my house? I will show you. You will not miss any of the, to quote the great Jimmy Moore, crappy garbage.
Yes.
You will not miss it. We have friends over all the time. Side note, we always cook keto with company. I have yet to hear a complaint. They love it because, of course, it tastes amazing. Yeah. And then December of 2017, to get into the seasonings and spices that we offer, I was at the store looking for a sugar-free barbecue rub because I use my smoker at every last possible opportunity. And they had to have had 40 or 50 different bottles and jars of blends, and everyone started with sugar. And again, through listening to podcasts and stuff, I finally understood that they cheat the labels. It says 0 carbs and 0 sugar. So I used to take that and go, oh, it's okay. It doesn't matter that it says there's sugar. And went, no. there's sugar. I'm not touching it. And I stepped back and said, okay, I'm not the only one that doesn't want this. I'm starting my own company. And that's where Select Savory Seasonings as a concept started in December of 2017. And as I went through it, I finally, the driving force behind it is twofold. First of all, it's just to help other people like me who were just sick and tired of being sick and tired of and wanted to get healthy. So I want to provide them with ways to make good, tasty food that's good for them so they can lose weight, get healthy, and just ultimately feel amazing. I want them to experience what I can experience. Second part is I don't want my kids to ever deal with what I dealt with the health. And so that's the other part of this. My kids don't understand what a lot of these other kids are dealing with, eating the garbage and the sugars and everything else. They know what good, healthy food is. And they love picking out and talking about the seasonings and spices themselves. That's where it started. And then in May of 18 is when the company launched. And all of our products are fresh, gourmet, small batched, sugar-free, additive-free, gluten-free seasonings and spices. I say that often, and I still get the question, is there anything in your stuff? No. It's seasonings and spices. And on occasion, one or two may have some seeds or nuts blended in, like with our Bombastic Bagel seasoning. And that's really where the idea started from, and we took off from there.
I love it, man. One of the biggest stumbling blocks that people have on a weight loss journey specifically is they get bored with their food. Mm-hmm. And I hear it all the time, like, oh, Adam, I can't eat any more chicken. And it's not like that's all I'm from. I'm like, well, we have several other sources of protein that we could use as well. But they just see it as like, I can't eat another bite of chicken. And they're like, just boiling it, and it's very boring, and they're not putting they're not putting a whole lot of effort into it.
Yep.
And I'm kind of an oddball, Cory. I eat things. If you tell me something is healthy, I will eat the hell out of it. I don't care what it tastes like. Like we were up at the Smoky Mountains last weekend, and we hit a buffet situation, and they had smoked oysters there, and I was just grossing my family. I'm like, the omega-3s, the healthy fats, this is great. You all have to try it. And everyone else took a bite, and they're like, no way. And I'm just eating platefuls of smoked oysters. And then, I think I'm motivated by health, but yes. I know that I'm like the 1%. Talk about just some of the difference that having these spices, having being able to prepare healthy food, but also really good tasting food. Talk about the difference that made for you personally.
It added variety. Our meals are very consistent, and yet we have a lot of variety because of the seasoning. So meats are generally chicken, pork, and beef, usually ground beef because I can get it inexpensively, feeding a family of 4. And then vegetables, it's cauliflower, broccoli, green beans. And so we don't eat much, but we can actually make it taste so much different by adding the seasonings and spices. For example, I was home alone one day and decided on making hamburgers. I put habanero garlic pepper on one. I can't remember what I put on the other, but for example, I'll say our Memphis-style barbecue rub, put them on the grill. And going from one to the other, it was like, oh, this is good. And then I go to the other, it's like, oh, this is good. And it was the exact same, 2 frozen hamburgers, but I was eating 2 completely different meals at the same time. For meal prep, I got a vacuum sealer, buy stuff when it's on sale, freeze it in bulk, and I'll season it ahead of time. So pork loin, we may do savory taco on one, Memphis barbecue on another, our savory meat sauce on a third, our select chop house on a fourth, and our ranch seasoning. So that's just 5 of them right off the top of my head. I can season, coat, vacuum seal, throw in the freezer. And now I've got pork loin, pork chops, or whatever I want. I pull them out, and depending on the day, sous vide and or grill it. And it's different every single time. And it is that simple. That's the great part. It's not a complicated process. It's coat, cook, eat. I think I just started something there. See. Yeah, anyway. Coat, cook, eat. Yeah, well, anyway. But it is that simple. And I want to keep it simple. That's the point of being the creative keto cook, is to keep simplicity. So often we hear, oh, I can't do these recipes. They ask for xanthan something or other. And okay, no, it's here's the basic ingredients. Grab this jar, throw it on, and you're done. Yeah. Same with our vegetables. Ours are relatively the same thing. It's casserole type style or pan fry, throw some cream in there, and then change the spices. And it's different every single time. It's that simple. And that was the idea behind it, was to offer variety, healthy variety, and keeping it simple.
Now, you mentioned the Chop House seasoning. That's my jam.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite one so far. I'm gonna try out the habanero one. Sounds excellent as well. I'm gonna try that one out next. But the Chop House is my jam personally. If you guys want to follow my lead, get that one for sure. Now, your children are eating keto as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that and how you are keeping them interested in the keto food.
Yep, my boys are 4 and almost 6. Started out from day one. I told my wife, I was like, look, I don't want them to deal with what I dealt with. As a kid, I thought it was normal to wake up at 3 a.m. with intestinal distress and go sit on the can for a couple of hours. Now I know, no, that wasn't normal. It was the garbage I was eating in my diet. More than likely the wheat specifically just causing that problem. And I don't want them to deal with that. I don't want them to understand that pain and aggravation that I dealt with as a kid. Along with always needing, looking forward to sleeping in on Saturday because I'm tired, and just the lethargy that I dealt with also. And so we agreed, look, if this is healthy for us, it's healthy for them. As many doctor have said, Dr. Westman, Dr. Barry, and many others, kids are born keto. That's the way they come out. When you start breastfeeding them, that's the way. Why change? I've always been blown away that, at 5 years old, you suddenly need fat-free milk. What changed? Hello? Anyway, so we started them out that way. Even before they turned 1, we started feeding them avocado. Now, most of it went on the face. They looked like the Incredible Hulk. But they loved it. We would take chicken and shred it and give it to them. Hot dogs, cut them up, get some really good low-carb hot dogs and let them eat those. And it was a couple of years ago, but we were at an event, and there was a bowl of lollipops. And they didn't even know what it was, didn't care. But that plate full of fruit, oh my goodness, they would have eaten the whole thing. And that's the difference between me and my kids. I can't eat fruit. I've destroyed my body over the years. Well, they're children. They can have fruit as their dessert treats and so forth. It's not something they eat all day, every day, but they do have fruit. Kind of like Danny Vega does with his kids.
Yeah.
And we've not had problems with it. Once or twice, something comes along, and we were at a birthday party recently, and they inhaled 3 pieces of watermelon. But I want cake too. Everybody else is having it. Okay, get them a piece. And not by a piece, I don't mean, a 3x3 square. I mean 1 bite, and they're done. And they were happy as clams. So I had some. They were happy, took off, and kept playing. And if I remember correctly, my wife heard somebody at that party also say, if they can eat healthy as a family, I guess it can't be that hard. So again, setting that example, side note, others are going to see it. And our friends know. They know when they come over what they're going to eat. They know if they invite us over, hey, what can you have? And I tell them, meats and vegetables. Keep it simple. And they love it. They don't know what bread is. My wife actually held a loaf of bread to our oldest one. She goes, "What's this?" He goes, "I don't know." She says, "No, really, what is it?" He's like, I don't know. Don't he's getting agitated. Like, I don't know, Mom. Don't ask again. Yeah. And they don't miss anything.
That's awesome.
That's one of the things people, they're going to miss out. No, they're not. Well, yeah, they are. They are going to miss out. The pain, the aggravation, and the gained weight.
Yeah.
But I'm saving them from a lifetime of aggravation. That at least that's the plan. If you train them up right now, as they get older, they'll understand and continue on in the long run.
Yeah. It's so interesting. We're raising our kids in a similar fashion. We didn't start them off that way, unfortunately, but that's the thing is like starting as early as possible. That's better. So even if your kids are teenagers, like start them now. You can actually have a real conversation with them. They'll hormonal rage on you a little bit, but that's okay. Yeah. You control their iPhone. That's what matters. But my son, who's 8, he's starting to notice the difference, and I can like tangibly show him like, okay, he's at basketball camp right now, and he is way tall. I mean, I'm 6'4". My dad's 6'6". We have height in the family, so he's going to be tall. But he is more muscular. He is thicker. He's more athletic. Like he's a head taller than everybody else that's 2 grades above him already. Yeah. And he's out there playing with kids way older than him, and he's able to move. He has great endurance and energy. I'm like, this is because you eat really healthy, buddy. And he's like, I know. So it's pretty cool to see him make that connection. And now he's just like at birthday parties. like they have pizza, he'll ask, he's like, can I get a bowl of broccoli around here or something? And the parents think I've got him brainwashed, but that's I'm like, he's the one that asked for it. I didn't have anything to do with it. So I think it's super cool that you're leading by example with your children, and that, you're in it together. I feel like that's, as a family unit, if you can all get on the same page, that's huge, right?
Mm-hmm. It is. And again, it's setting the example. I've had personally several people and clients come to me and go, okay, it's my turn. Now they're all old. Ironically, they're all in, my parents' age. They're mid-60s, but they're like, okay, this is it. I'm tired of this. Or as one friend of mine said, I the doctor just told me my blood sugar is an 8.5. I'm diabetic. I need to stop it now. And 6 weeks later, he's like, dude, I got to visit him. It was great. It's like, check this out. And he's already lost 2 inches. He's like, I can't wear these shorts anymore.
That's awesome.
He's down 20 pounds. And he's like, and again, he gets it. It's not weight loss. It's health, which I keep coming back to, because that's really what it comes down to. It is longevity and health. And it's great. Just set the example and people will follow.
Hey, this is just a really quick break in the action to remind you that I've got 2 live Million Pound Mission workshops coming up. I'm going to be doing a half-day workshop in Huntington Beach, California on September the 21st, and I'm putting on a full-day workshop at my fitness studio, the world headquarters in lovely Bloomington, Indiana, on October 19th. You can head on over to millionpoundmission.com to get all the details. You can see our amazing speaker lineup for both events, and you can grab that ticket before we get sold out. Now, back to the episode. Cory, I want to do a little quiz for you. And I know you love all of your seasonings, and that a lot of them work in a lot of different ways. But I just want to get like the top of mind, top recommendation. I'll give you a meat or vegetable, and I want you to give me a spice that you recommend, that that you love and that people will probably love. So that when they go to your website, they can aim for that one if they want to try something out. All right? Sure. All right, here we go. All right, so what do you have for grilled chicken breasts?
Savory meat seasoning, which is good on all meat, hence the name.
Yes.
I've
tried that one as well. Yeah, that one's excellent. That one's excellent.
And for people that may want to avoid salt, that is also a salt-free option. That one's so good. A friend of mine did different meat, country pork ribs, threw them in the crock pot and put my seasoning on them. So that was the cooking. Her kids went, Mom, that's the best meal you've ever made.
Oh, my God.
So I constantly remind her that I'm the one that helped her make the best meal ever.
Yes.
But yeah, savory meat seasoning by far.
Nice. All right. Grilled ribeye steak.
Oh, Chop House.
Yes.
That's that one. So good. I've had multiple customers say my spouse always uses steak sauce until I cooked it with this, and they'd never touched the sauce.
Amazing.
And then I asked both of them why they married their spouse, but I left it alone.
Nice. All right. What about let's go with pork chops.
Memphis style barbecue.
Ooh.
So anything pork. That's my go-to rib one also, but the Memphis style barbecue is great on pork chops.
Let's go with a baked chicken thigh.
Baked chicken thighs, ranch dressing or ranch-tastic seasoning.
Yes.
Which is great on everything. One of my customers says I should call it MEGA, MEGA, make everything great again. But I didn't, for obvious reasons. But yes, that is great on. That's one of our go-tos for chicken,
nice.
Especially in the oven.
What about like a beef roast? Like you go crock pot, beef roast. What are we gonna go with?
Back to the meat seasoning almost every time.
Yeah, so that's a good crock pot one to do, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, let's go into the veggie land a little bit. What if I'm just gonna steam some broccoli and sprinkle something over the top?
I'm gonna go with 2 garlic herb seasoning. It's a very fresh flavor, but also our bombastic bagel seasoning, modeled after the everything bagel topping. Both of those are great on just some steamed broccoli with butter. Nice.
All right, last one. Little green bean casserole action. What you got for us?
Well, if I'm doing green bean casserole, heavy cream and cheese. Let's see here. Let's go a little oddball. Select pizza seasoning. It's an Italian base. So it's Italian with a little bit of a red pepper flake in there. So it's it's got a little bit of a variety in the way that it tastes. But the Select Pizza seasoning would be good on that.
Now you got me hungry. I'm sure the audience is hungry now too. So now I want to dive into some of your tips for just meal prep. You mentioned some of your meal prep stuff, but like I'm somebody that I won't do something if it takes more than 3 steps to do. Like I love Keto Connect. I love looking at their fancy recipes. I've got their cookbook, but I gave it to my wife and I was like, if you want to make any of this stuff, go for it.
Go for it.
It's 13 steps. I can't handle this. Like if someone else will make it for me, I will eat the heck out of it.
You'll eat it.
Yes.
Yep.
But I need like 3 steps or less. So any tips just for general meal prep for people like me or people that, there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of dudes that are like, I don't know how to cook anything. So what are some like baby step starter methods that you would recommend?
I'll just go through what I do, which is, I'll cook. I'll separate everything out first. So, buy 5-10 pounds of ground beef, freeze them into family's portions. That way it's just pulled out, thawed out. And we're going to pan fry it most of the time, drain the grease, throw in the seasoning, and then I might add some heavy cream or some cheese, put it in a casserole. But and I figured it out. It's coat, cook, and consume. Those are my 3 C's.
The 3 C's. We just patented that. You can have the patent though. You got the rights to that.
So it's coat it with the seasoning, cook it, and consume it. Now you might flip it. It could be cook and then coat. Just depends on how you're cooking. But it's cook it up, and then if you're going to do vegetables, I always buy the steamable bags. So you throw it in the microwave, you cut it open and drain the water out, throw it in the pan of ground beef, cook it all up. You're done.
Nice.
You already mentioned crock pot. Especially with chuck roast. Buy them when they're on sale at $2.99 a pound. Season it, freeze it, and then all you got to do is thaw it out, dump it in the crock pot low. 8 hours later, you've got, and I also throw on about 8 ounces of Kerrygold butter on top. So it is literally meat, seasonings, and butter. And if you like pepperoncinis, you can throw those in too. But that's it. Falls apart. You've got yourself a beautiful 3 pounds of beef. And then for your vegetable, again, steam it. If you like to pan fry like I do, I like that little blackened down the outside. Butter, fry it up, seasoning, done. Nice. I like the KISS method. Just keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. I know that I go with the creative keto cook, but then I step back and go, there's not much creativity to it. Some of my recipes are, but I like the simplicity of it. It's just cook it, coat it, consume it. Quick and easy.
The 3 C's. So you've mentioned a couple times, sometimes you will coat before cooking. Sometimes you will cook and then coat. How do you make that decision?
Crock pot's coated ahead of time, and it simmers in everything. Most everything else in a pan, like stovetop. More than likely, I'll cook it and then throw the seasoning in, and then allow the flavor to spread. Especially if you're using like a cream sauce or something like that, it'll mellow through because many seasonings, if you throw it in ahead of time, the flavor disappears. It cooks out. So like when we make a taco meal, cook the hamburger, drain it, throw in the taco seasoning, and it's general rule of thumb, tablespoon per pound, and then maybe a little bit of a heavy cream just to help things mix together, and then dump it on some pork rinds, cheese and sour cream. You got yourself tacos.
Nice.
Same with the veggies. Cook them up. And then once you start adding your cream sauce and stuff, throw the seasoning in on top of it and go. Now, obviously, with a casserole or crock pot, then you just put it in, cook it, and then the flavors will just permeate everything.
So if I'm going to like pan fry or even grill a steak, would you recommend doing the full cooking and then at the very end just sprinkle it, coat it over the top?
I do both.
Okay.
Do it ahead of time. So it's there, it's part of the sear, and then maybe sprinkle a little on at the end just to get a little more of that fresh flavor. So nice. With a grilling pan searing, I'd do both. Okay,
that makes sense. All right, what about just some grilling tips in general? Because a lot of us suck at the grill. Although as like our man card, in fear of having that taken away, I fear even saying that, but a lot of times I screw it up. So any tips as far as just grilling in general? You're going to toss, you spent $15 on a grass-fed ribeye steak. You don't want to totally mess it up. Any just general grilling tips for us here?
Thermometer. So check the internal temperature to your set desired doneness. A wireless one is great because you can stick the probe in it and then set the reader off to the side. Whereas one that you have to insert and take out, you can't leave it in the grill. And then I keep the heat around medium. I don't want to get too hot. Let it cook a little bit slower. If it's a steak, I'll have a small cast iron pan in the grill on keep one side of it hotter than the other so that gets nice and hot. And when it's time to sear, throw in some oil or some butter and sear it in that pan real quick so I don't smoke everybody out of the house. And be done.
Always helpful.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Open the windows. No, it's not on fire. It's just supper. And then I just, and keeping an eye, like chicken thighs, I love to, again, that medium, high heat and just keep turning them. The skin's easy to burn, but keep an eye on the temperature. When it hits about 165, you're done. Pull them off. If you like a sugar-free barbecue sauce, put it on a couple minutes before you're done just to give it a little bit of crispness, and you're ready to go.
Nice. Awesome, Cory. Now, you and I brought something up. We had a little pre-conversation, and something that we started talking about, I want to bring up here again because I feel like it's an important topic. We mentioned that, body image, body dysmorphia, that's something that a lot of females are now coming out and talking about, and that's something that's really important. But now, you feel, and I feel the same, that like men are not out there sharing their stories and being real with how their body looks. Right. So let's talk about that a little bit and how you're dealing with it and how you feel like we need to have these conversations as men also.
Yep. And I'll back up a little bit. At my heaviest, I got up to 280 pounds. And then, as I mentioned, I got down to 190 back up. But I've been sitting at 200 pounds. I go down a little more, go up and down a little bit from there. And I know in my head, I'm as healthy as I've ever been. Body weight exercise is 3 days a week. I can see definition in my muscles, my shoulders. My wife notices it. So I know mentally I'm in great shape for myself. And yet at the same time, when you look in the mirror and I sit there and I still see a belly, I still see that difficult fat that sits there that's hard to get rid of. I'm like, man, I'm still fat. I'm still overweight. I'm still a slob. And there's that temptation sometimes is it really worth it? And then I'm to the point now that I know it's worth it. So it's not like but those thoughts are always there. And so I just stop and I'll remind myself, like the shirt I'm wearing right now is a large. I bought it and it didn't fit intentionally. So this is my Creative Keto Cook t-shirt, polo shirt. And I intentionally bought a size smaller about a year ago, knowing, yes, it's snug, but it will fit. And now it does. And I'll throw on old t-shirts that used to be my favorites, and they still are, except they're huge and they used to not fit. So I'll grab an extra large t-shirt and go out for the day. And I'm like, this is annoying me. It's pulling on my shoulders. It's not fitting right. It's too big. It almost feels heavy. But I keep using those reminders that, okay, no, yes, I see something. And yet I look back. So the hindsight's 20/20. I can turn around and say, look, this is where I came from. I was 280 pounds and I was wearing size 48 pants. I'm now fitting into 36s and large size shirts. And I have to remind myself of that, every couple of weeks or even a couple of times a week. It just varies there as to when it hits. More recently, it's been a little more often and I don't have a reason for it. Don't know why it hits me, but I'll just, for a day or two, be like, man, this is just, I'm a fat slob. And then I got to stop and step back and go, well, no, I'm not. I'm as healthy and as fit as I've ever been. I need to remember that and then keep moving forward, understanding, it's a long-term goal. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And I keep telling people, and it's true, that I don't care if I lose another pound because the way I feel and how I am right now, I'm in the best shape of my life. So the weight loss is not necessary because of my overall health by the way I'm eating. And it's so true. I don't care if I lose another pound, but there's always that inkling in the back of the head that says, yeah, but you need to lose weight. You need to be skinnier. And wants and needs are two completely different things.
Yeah, and it's something on a weight loss journey especially, I keep reminding people of this that listen to the show. I'm like, you can't measure from where you are to where you want to be. That's like trying to run to the horizon line. You'll never get there because that's a moving target. You have to turn around, like you said, measure how much progress you've made from where you started on your journey. Yep. And that's what we're proud of. We let that horizon line drive us forward. But when we do that measurement and that evaluation, if we measure against where we want to go, we always feel like we failed, right? Because we're not there yet. The I'm not there yet syndrome happens. And it's so important to sit and be proud and be like, damn, I've lost 12 inches off my pant size, or I'm in 2 sizes smaller shirts, and my energy and my health and my health markers and all this stuff. Like, that is the progress that we're after. Mm-hmm. That's we're making progress towards health, not a scale number, like you've said over and over again here today. And that mindset switch is hard to make, but it's so important for everybody out there, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think part of the problem is social media. We look at everybody's highlights. There's very few people out there that show everything. There's very few people that discuss, hey, I just hit Wendy's today and hammered a, extra large something or other with fries and a Frosty. And then admit that I screwed up. Now I'm going to continue on. Or we look at the people that are just healthier. So, we look at, pick on our good friend, Robert Sykes. It's like, I don't look like that. Well, you know what? I never will.
Yeah.
I just have to accept that. But it's very easy for us to see these pictures of people, and they're all flexing and looking good, and I'll never have striated glutes.
We'll get you in that thong Speedo, Cory, and we'll find out for sure.
No. My wife would kill me. So it's like, I'm never going to get there. So I have to accept that and understand even those people that are fit struggle, and realize I can't judge my journey on someone's highlights, and got to take it from there. And that really does help. It sounds simple, but taking that step back and going, they're not showing me everything, and that's not my journey. That's theirs.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope, because I feel like it's okay to be motivated or inspired by somebody else, but we can't measure ourselves against what they are doing. Because like you said, everybody's on their own journey. And when we start comparing, I mean, that's where we really start getting in our head and start beating ourselves up. And like you said, that's somebody's version of themselves that they're putting out there. And sometimes that's not always the whole story, like you mentioned. So it's, social media, it's a fun place to be, but it can be a double-edged sword for sure. And I enjoy seeing people, like our friends Jimmy Moore, Lauren Berryhill, getting out there and really talking about their feelings, their journey, their struggles, the highs, the lows. And, I've been trying to be more forthcoming about that. I talked about an episode a few months back about how I was nervous. I still am, like, to go out and go to our local pool with my kids and have like my shirt off. Because I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but sometimes I feel like I don't want to like let my people that come to my gym down, be like, oh, he should be in better shape than that, or whatever. Like, that's the conversation that's happening in my head. Or after I tore my pec and I've got a giant hole in my chest now, like it just doesn't look like a normal chest looks. And just being self-conscious about that, I deal with that every single time I go out in public with my shirt off. So that, and stretch marks, people dealing with loose skin, things like that. Like, it's something that we get in our own head about. And, I feel like if we can get honest with ourselves, I was talking with keto coach Lauren last night about this, that she said that just being able to get out there and use Instagram as kind of an accountability tool, and just sharing other people her story, and how, like, she's more likely to go on Instagram and show her stretch marks than she is to one of her best friends in person, which is, I'll share it with the world first instead. But she said that just feels like a vehicle where she's inspired, because she knows that will probably help somebody else out. And I feel people like you and I can do the same thing.
Yes. And I know that was discussed on the low carb cruise that with Lauren, and even Jimmy talked about it, how the mindset is, well, if you're a leader in this community, you need to be perfect. You have to be skinny. You have to be toned. You have to look like these muscle people. And yet that's not where 99% of the people on their health journey are. Yep. They have to see that, hey, Jimmy Moore is struggling. Look at where he came from and see where he's at, and understand he has to still figure things out. And he is figuring it out, eating more of a carnivore diet now, and you can see it in his face how he's toning up and losing weight. For myself, it's crossed my mind more than once. It's like, should I really be doing this? Because, well, look at me. And yet my friends look at me and go, you don't need to lose any more weight. And it's like, well, I see what you don't. Yes, I do. And so I understand that thought. And it's something we need to understand, that we're all on a journey. We're all in this journey together. Let's support each other. Not sit there and sadly body shame and fat shame.
Yeah.
And say, well, you can't do this because you're overweight. Well, we got a bad habit of judging people, and I've done it. I can think of several people, when I met them, I went, they're keto? What? No. And then when I saw their before pictures and went, oh, I got it now.
Yeah.
And we need to step back, and I because I'm guilty of it myself, and prejudging. And then when you get to know them, you go, you almost want to walk up to them and apologize because you never said it to them, but it crossed your mind. It's like, I'm sorry. When I first saw your pictures or first met you, and I thought, there's no way. You look at you. But then I saw, oh, you're down 300 pounds. Okay, never mind. My bad.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
It's so easy. And it goes both ways. It's really easy to body shame and judge others, but it's also very, very easy. We do that to ourselves. And oftentimes we're our worst bully, that mental bully that sits on our shoulder. And like you said, we tell ourselves, oh, but we're not there yet, but we're still fat, but we don't look like so-and-so yet. And it's a battle that a lot of us fight. But I feel like, again, the more honest influencers are, the more the average Joe person that's out there hacking it out with their own battle is going to get it and be like, oh, okay. Adam struggles with that. Cory struggles with that. I struggle with it too. So that just means I'm on a normal journey. That's what transformations look like.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
So, Cory, I want to make sure we've had a lot of things that we've talked about. I know that people are going to want to get a hold of you. Yep. What are the best ways to get connected to you for your products? If people have questions about your own journey, they're inspired by what you have to say, social media, how do we dive more into your universe?
Alrighty. For product, selectseasonings.com. A little easier to remember, maybe myketospices.com. Again, all fresh, gourmet, sugar-free, additive-free, gluten-free. It's straight up spices. And as you've already mentioned, until you've tried fresh spices, you don't know what you're missing. Plain and simple. For everybody listening to this, they can save 15% off with Million Pound Mission. All one word, no spaces, Million Pound Mission. Also, my Creative Keto Cook website, which working a full-time job and doing a side hustle, that's the one that kind of sits on the back burner a little bit. But as I come up with stuff, I add recipes to that. And it's just creativeketocook.com. That will grow more as I get more time. And then social media, Instagram, it's both Select Savory Seasonings and Creative Keto Cook. A little bit of variation there, a little more family-oriented and showing what you can do with family on the Creative Keto Cook side of things, and more food and product on the Select Savory Seasonings. Twitter is Creative Keto Cook, except for the word creative. The E is not there, Creativ, and just was too long. So I'm on there quite a bit, and I use that more to just help people learn, follow my journey, sharing things I'm learning from a lot of other people. So, for example, sharing podcasts and information and so forth, and really making friends. It's an amazing platform.
Yeah.
And both of them are also on Facebook, Creative Keto Cook and Select Savory Seasonings. That generally is going to be just rehashes of Instagram. But if you're more Facebook oriented, almost every time I share on Instagram, I hit the button and it auto shares to Facebook. So that would be pretty much everywhere you can find me. If you want to email me, creativeketocook@gmail.com is always available to reach out, ask questions. I have every now and then I'll get stuff. Hey, question on a product, or how did this work, or how does that work? And, I'll reply and see what I can do to help you out.
Yep. Yeah, and you're going to be at Keto Con. We'll be meeting down there. And now, do you have? You had mentioned something that you may be launching after Keto Con, and that's when this episode will be live. Do you want to chat about that real quick? What the new stuff?
At Keto Con, I'll have launched our "Who Needs the French Onion Onion Soup Mix," and you could also call it "Who Needs the French Onion Soup Mix." So take your pick. If you don't like the French people, it's who needs the French. Anyway, so it's a sugar-free, additive-free. I mean, there's no garbage in there except for seasonings and spices. So if you're an onion dip person, great to just tablespoon into a not a large, but a regular size sour cream. You got a dip. Again, great on hamburgers, roasts. Actually, that's how I did one of my pot roasts more recently, was to give that a try. So anywhere you would buy onion soup mix in the store and use it, this is the healthy alternative without the maltodextrin and all the other garbage that they put in that stuff.
Yes.
Now, the drawback is I have to buy in large quantity to do that. So the launch at Keto Con works great because I can buy a bunch of it and sell it all. And then I also have my Spice of the Month Club, which for the month of July, so by the time this airs, it'll have already gone out. They'll be the first people to get that out aside from Keto Con. And then late July, early August is the plan to order more so that it's available for everybody.
Awesome.
So by the time you hear this, if it's not on the website, it'll be there soon.
That's amazing. I can't wait to try that out. So, Cory, I like to leave our audience with a little bit of action, a little bit of momentum. We've inspired them with our conversation. I'm sure we sparked a lot of ideas, but now it's time to give them some homework. So let's say there's somebody listening that is ready to commit to getting healthier. What is one simple action step that you would give that audience member to take in the next 24 hours? They're ready to ignite that transformation journey. What's one tip that you'd have for them? Write
down your whys. Post them somewhere. Keep them visible. Keep them in front of you. And then a secondary, throw the scales away. But write them down and put them up. Why do you want to do this? It's not, your why is not weight loss. That's your what. And write it down. Wife, kids, health, longevity, diabetes. I don't want amputations. I don't want dementia. I don't want Alzheimer's. I don't care what your why is, but write it down and keep it in front of you. And as they change, go back through and update it. Because my whys now are completely different than November of 2017. Some of them are the same. Others are different. Like one day, I think I was visiting my parents, and as most people in their mid-60s, they've got this big container full of pills. And I looked at my dad and said, I've got a new why. I don't want to be doing this in my 60s.
Yep.
He's like, that's a good one.
Yep.
He's like, I'm there too. I want to get there. And even at that age, write down your whys and keep them in front of you. Look at them every day.
Yep. You got to find that why before your why finds you. That's what
Yes.
I always say. So, Cory, thank you so much for your time, man. I knew this was going to be an interesting conversation. You've got a great product that I'm super psyched about. You're helping so many people spice up their ketogenic diet and get a little bit healthier along the way. So I appreciate your time, my brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate all the conversation.
All right, everybody. Now you've been inspired. You got a little bit of action steps to take. It's time to get out there and own it every meal, every workout, every day. I will see you on the next episode. Hey, thanks for hanging out for the after party. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Cory Conklin. What a good dude, right? That guy has got a lot of heart behind his message and behind his business. So check him out. All of the links to connect are in the show notes and the blog. Speaking of connecting, I want to meet you in person at one of my live workshops coming up September 21st, Huntington Beach, California, October 19th, live right here at the world headquarters in Bloomington, Indiana, at my fitness studio. And we've got a few little bonuses going with that. So head on over to millionpoundmission.com. I would love to have you come in for one of my 2 live Million Pound Mission transformed workshops. The speakers are off the hook. Just go to the website, get all the details, get that ticket, and I will see you soon.